spent your whole date getting to know each other talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
Hello, Hidden Gems. I have a very special guest here today, and I'm sure you guys know exactly who this lady in red is. This is the woman, the myth, the legend, Nancy Jo Hancock. And we have an interview we're going to do with you today. Before I give you the stage and start asking you a lot of questions, I'm going to say a few things, which I'm sure everyone is mad at right now because we've been dying to hear from you, and they're going to say, shut up, Lauren, let her talk. But I just want to say a few things about this amazing woman. She has been taking care of us. There are things behind the scenes that you guys don't know, like Nancy Jo Hancock bringing us dinner, giving me clothes that I can wear when I didn't have enough clothes here. Thank you for letting me borrow some earrings today. Nancy Jo has helped me with my cough. This clove oil is your suggestion and has genuinely worked. You dry heave when you take it.
Yeah, price you pay.
The price you pay, but I'm not coughing. Like, look, listen to me. Have you heard me cough since you've arrived? And I
have not
taking this. She's an amazing woman, and she is a caretaker. And I just want to say thank you to you two for how you have helped Grayson and myself while we have been away from home. And we have enjoyed many gossip sessions and laughs. And I can say that on the stand, she's incredible. And behind the scenes, she's also incredible. So I just want to thank you.
Well,
and
very kind.
I also know that you were, a couple things I noticed. You were not planning to do an interview, and I want to ask you why that you changed your mind. But before we get there, I also want to ask you this. The sentencing of Vallow Daybell, hopefully the final one, hopefully we never have to see her again, happened this week on Friday. And I noticed, and I mentioned it, that while Lori was giving her gobbledygook statement, whatever it is, I don't know if it's a statement or a rant or a speech, whatever we call it, you walked out of the courtroom. And so you're in the front row because you sit with your dear friend Kay Woodcock and others, right? Or you're in the second, third row. You're near the front where the media is pushed to the very back. And I'm in the back, and I was on the aisle. And so as you walked out, I made eye contact with you. And we looked at each other, and you walked out, and I felt like I knew exactly why you walked out. I feel like it was confirmed when right after Lori ended her gobbledygook, it was over, and the bailiff let you right back in, and you went and you sat right back down. So was that what I think it is? And tell me about that.
Well, her, the Constitution crap was pretty disgusting and irritating and annoying. But when she got to the, if I had anything to say, I would say I'm sorry, but I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm not going to say I'm sorry. And I just thought, if the only person you listened to in this entire thing was your son Colby speaking from the hospital about how he has lost his mother, his father, his brother, and his sister, and how he fought to stay alive because the pain was so great. If that's the only person you listened to, Lori, how did you not say something to your son? And I couldn't sit there. I would have said something, and I would have known I would have gotten kicked out of the court. And fortunately, the person next to me stopped me from saying something, and I just had to walk out. I couldn't listen to what she was saying. It was so pious and arrogant and disgusting and evil and narcissistic, and I couldn't sit there.
Yeah, a silent protest of sorts.
It was the only thing I could do, but it was my silent protest.
Yeah, that makes sense, and
I knew when you looked at me, you knew why I was leaving.
Yeah, we looked at each other. We had a moment, and I knew, and you knew that I knew. Yeah. No, I was proud of you. I was also proud of Aunt Vicky, who at the very end got the final word in.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. I think. What did she say? I hope you
rot in prison.
Rot in prison. Aunt Vicky, Well played.
Well played, Aunt
Well
Vicky.
played.
I-
Flatter yourself with that one.
Can I tell you a little secret?
Please.
When I was walking out, I said to the boss lady of the courtroom something about what she said, and she goes, "I sure wish I hadn't had to say that to her." So I think she wanted to say rotten prison to Lori as well, but
Yeah,
that
right.
was her job. So
Right. And for those that know who Nancy Jo Hancock is, I know she needs like no introduction, but for those who don't know, Nancy Jo Hancock was a witness in the trial for, it was the Vallow Daybell trial. Laurie Daybell, as she likes to be known now as, married to Chad Daybell, but it was the trial for the murder of Charles Vallow. She's had 3 now. And you were one of the first witnesses, or soon on the stand, because you were one of the last people to ever talk to Charles Vallow. It was a first date or an introduction. You met online. We're going to get all into that, don't you? We're going to learn everything there is to know about that single date that led you 7 years later, or 6 years, 5 years later, to be testifying at a murder trial.
it wasn't on my bucket list or my bingo card that would ever happen.
Yeah, we all have online dating stories, right? But not all of us.
No one will ever top mine, ever.
None of us have there's this one date, and now I am fighting for justice for this man that I didn't know. And I want to say thank you for that too. You might have had one date with him. You might have known him for one day, but what you have done for him, you should be very proud.
It was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I would hope that if the situation were reversed, someone would do that for me. It was the right thing to do.
It was. And then what I want to ask before we get into all of those details, and we're gonna get into it. There's a lot more. There are a lot more texts. There is a lot of info. There's a little bit of tea. I want to know why you have chosen to finally do an interview. I know when we first met, you said, "Look, we became friends." You said, "I don't want to interview," which we respected, we understood, and I'm honored that you're sitting with me right now. Thank you. But can you share your intent?
Well, a couple of reasons. I thought the notoriety would go away. First of all, I had no idea the notoriety would come. Really didn't even even my best friend didn't even know I was going to testify that day. Some of my kids didn't know I was going to testify that day. And I honestly thought that I would go testify and I would go home and it would be done. And I went from April of 2020 until March of 2025 without hearing from one person about the Charles Vallow case. Besides, I was texting with Kay just as a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. It was her brother.
But I heard from no police, nobody. And so I just thought, okay, I guess they don't need what I have. But I didn't intend to have notoriety. I didn't want to have notoriety. And I felt like if I just did a good job on the witness stand and went home, there would be no notoriety. But I mean, I've been in a Disneyland bathroom washing my hands and had people go, "Are you Nancy Jo Hancock?
Are you serious?"
I've been walking into
Don't
Target.
flatter yourself.
I've been in Target having someone walk in and stop me and say, "I used to be a judge and an attorney, and you were the best witness I've ever seen on a stand." And I mean, that was just a few days ago. It hasn't gone away. And as I've watched Lori decimate the church that I love, that I belong to, I finally decided that I had a unique opportunity to stand up for my church.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful intention.
And I decided if this weird fame that came that I really don't want, and I think it's bizarre, but if it came, that I wanted to stand up and I wanted to say, for those that think that the things that Lori Vallow spews out of her evil mouth are the things that the people of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints believe, it is not. We are normal Christians. We believe the things that most Christians believe. I know there's a few additional things, but we believe that we have a Heavenly Father and that Jesus Christ is our Savior and that He died for our sins. And the things that Lori says are not what the people of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints believe. And I think that the way that evil triumphs is for good people to stand by and do nothing. And so I don't want to stand by and do nothing.
I bet that has been really hard for you for the last 5-6 years watching Lori Vallow Daybell be a representative of something you love so much.
Well, she thinks she's a representative, and a lot of people online think she's a representative. But the things that she believes and the evil that she has done, she is not a representative. She is not a representative of the church that I was raised in and that I love. She's not.
Yeah. Thank you. I admire that. And I would like to talk a little bit more about that later in this interview too, if that's okay with you. Okay. Now to some tea. I'll take a drink too.
Okay.
The clove oil is working.
I'm so glad.
So far, so good.
It burns, but it works.
Burns but works. So I would like to know, take me back to first meeting Charles. Can I hear a little bit about how you met and how this first date came to be?
So
First and only, I guess.
as I said, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and there's a couple of sites. They're not sponsored by the church, but they are for members of the church to meet each other and date other members of the church that have similar beliefs. And he made a profile on there. I believe that he told me Kay made it for him, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Because she wanted him to move past Lori and get out there and date.
That makes sense with the timeline, if that's true, because she knew that Lori had left and he was alone and
Yes.
probably wanted him to see options.
Yes. And so the first day that he was on there, he sent me a message and I returned the message. And I mean, he was funny. He was funny and clever. And we exchanged a few messages. He asked for my phone number, and, I broke my don't give anyone your phone number until you know more about them rule. And I gave him my phone number, and
He was that charming.
he was.
And he was handsome, let's be honest.
He was.
Yeah.
And, we started texting and talking, and I mean, he was Johnny on the spot on a text. If you text him, you got to text right back. And I don't know how he still did business, because he texted me a lot. I know he was still doing business. He was in meetings, and, he might have said, I'll text you when I get out of this meeting, but he was attentive and charming and funny and witty and corny jokes and kind and very kind. And, I had some, he was sending me pictures of himself and his family. And, when I reached out to Kay after he was murdered, I had pictures on my phone of JJ that Kay didn't have. And so I was able to share those with her. And
She was very proud dad.
he was a proud dad. JJ was the love of his life. Anybody else that was in his life would have played second fiddle to JJ. He loved, and Cole and Zach have not been talked about a lot. And he was very proud of Cole and Zach. He loved those older boys as well. And
They loved him.
He expressed some regret about letting Lori kind of interfere with some of the closeness that he wished he would have had with them.
Interesting.
And also seeing how she had treated Joe Ryan while acknowledging his flaws. Now that he was watching how she was treating him.
Well, what else did he talk to you about? Or was there much more leading up to the date? Or I know there was a lot after.
We talked for hours, Lauren. I mean,
Really?
hours and hours and hours. Everything from baseball to growing up in Louisiana, to his childhood, his first marriages, why they didn't work. I mean, he was an open book. He didn't have secrets. And he talked a mile a minute, really fast.
No.
And with his Southern accent, it was pretty cute.
Yeah.
I had to interpret some things and have him go back and repeat it once in a while. But he was he was fun to talk to. He was really fun to talk to.
I bet. I really enjoy his siblings, so I can imagine how fun
He
it
was a
would
good
be.
storyteller.
Yeah. So you're having this nice friendship, texting, sharing about your lives. How did the first date come about? What did he say?
Well, so he was in Houston and he was coming into Arizona. And I knew from when we started talking when he was coming to Arizona that it would be July 10th. And from the time we started talking, he said that he wanted to, meet that night when he got here. He was originally supposed to come in at like 4:30 or 5 and be in Arizona much sooner. And he said that he would come pick me up and take me to dinner. Another rule that I don't usually let someone come pick me up.
Right.
But I was going to let him come pick me up. When his flight got delayed, he said, hey, why don't you just meet me there so that, so he, we met somewhere close by his hotel so that he could just go change and come meet at the hotel. When I got there, I texted him, "Are you here?" And he said, "Nope, I'm almost there." And he said, "You'll recognize me because I'm in the Hawaiian shirt." We'd had a conversation. That's a whole nother story about how bad I hate Hawaiian shirts. And he said, "I hate Hawaiian
wears
shirts."
them. I'm always like, why?
Oh, I got a story about Hawaiian shirts for you, but I won't. That's for another time.
But it's fair because he lived in Hawaii. But yes,
But not on a date. No, on the beach in Hawaii, not on a date.
Yeah. Okay, I have to agree with you.
Anyway, and he said yes, and I have pink high tops on. This is all via text, and I said, "I think I'm suddenly sick." Anyway, that was just that's the kind of banter. He's texting, and so he came in, and we sat down, and he ordered a big steak, and we ordered a dinner, and we're talking, and literally I look around and I'm like, there's nobody else in this restaurant.
Oh.
And it's after 10 o'clock and they were closed, and they're literally everyone there is waiting for us to leave. I'm like, I think we should probably leave. So, he gets the check and he, sorry guys, he's just, charming to them as well. And so nice. And, he said, I'm going to tip him extra. We kept him late, and it was July in Arizona, and we walked outside, and, we stood just by the bed of my truck and talked for like 45 minutes more. And then after he left, we text for another 45 minutes or so more. I think when I looked at the text messages, the last text message between he and I was around midnight that night. So we were texting until midnight, and then he was murdered at like 7:30 the next morning.
So you had a nice time. It was friendly. It was nice enough that like you guys end the date and you keep texting.
Yes.
Until midnight.
Yes.
What did he tell you? We're going to get to that morning, but what did he tell you about the next morning? Like he said he was in town and he was going to see JJ, right?
Yes.
What did he say was going to happen the next morning?
Well, he told me that he was going to get JJ and he was going to take him back to his hotel for breakfast. I know that Lori has talked about that he was taking him to Burger King, but he told me that the next morning he was getting him at 7:30, and the reason he was getting him so early because his school didn't start till 8:30.
That would make sense because he did arrive early. He arrived early at the house. Yeah.
And so he told me he was taking him back to have breakfast at his hotel. That's what his intention was, to go get him early. And he was so excited to see him. He wanted to spend some time with him before he took him to school.
It makes sense. He's coming into town. He gets to see his little boy.
Yes.
And let's spend some quality time before I take you to school at 8:30.
Yes.
And that's so sweet. And so did he say that JJ just liked the hotel, or is that just sort of his plan? I'm going to take him back.
That's just what he told me he was going to do. He just said that, that's why he was going so early was, that's what his plan was, to go so early so that he had, an hour to feed him and to get him to school.
Oh. And that didn't happen. But
No.
I mean, he tried. So the next day, obviously you're not knowing what's happening, but were you guys in touch? Did he try to text you before he went, or did you text him at all, or what happened?
I texted him at about 10:30 to see how his morning with Joshua had gone, with JJ.
With JJ.
and didn't get a response, which was weird because, as I told you, he was, right back with the text. And so I thought, gosh, that's weird. And, but I just thought, I knew that he had flown Lori's brother Adam in to try to do some kind of intervention.
So you knew that too? He had told you that too?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to talk about this date. You guys covered a lot of ground.
We've been talking for a week, so we covered a lot of ground
Okay.
over the week, but we covered a lot of ground on that night
So
as well.
you even knew that he was flying Adam in for
Yes.
an intervention with Lori.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I knew. I mean, he told me about the videos that she had been filming herself dancing every night and emailing them to Chad.
He had told you about the dancing videos.
Yes, he told me about the dancing
with
videos.
Chad.
He had discovered those, and
Which came up in the victim impact statements. The dancing.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
dancing. Wow. So he told you he found those, saw them.
He'd also found the fake email account where Lori was emailing, pretending to be Charles so that she could have, a fling, getting Chad, so that's why Tammy thought he was coming to Arizona, was under a guise of, doing a book for Charles, and Charles had found all of that information as well.
Oh, he was really opening up to you. I think he was probably looking for anyone to listen though.
Well, yes. And people think it's weird that he was telling me all of that. Sadly, after years of dating, when you're in the middle of divorce trauma, people divorce trauma dump, and it's pretty normal. So
no, I agree. Dude, my first conversation with my John, people joke, they're like, what did you talk about? I'm like, we talked for 2.5 hours, both of our past unhealthy relationships, 2 different murder cases.
Yeah.
I mean, everything under the sun, because I think, yeah, you're right. Like once you've been through it, like you're like, look, let's just lay it out on the table.
Let's lay all the ugly scars out and get that out of the way.
But I also want to say, I feel like he was also looking for someone to listen. When you look
He
at
was.
all of the old body cam footage and him going to all these people, trying to get someone to understand what was going on, I think he felt very alone. And
I have no doubt he felt very alone. I think he felt very unheard. And I know that one of my better traits is that I'm a really good listener. And I have found over the years, if you'll sit back and listen to people, they'll tell you everything you need to know. Yeah. And so I've developed that quality because you learn if you are interested in dating someone or not, if you sit back and listen.
Well said.
So.
Well said. Listen more than talk. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that was probably a really big relief you gave him on his last night that you heard him.
People can say what they want to say. And I testified on the stand. I knew we weren't exclusive. And, it came out during trial that he had, several other dates lined up. And I knew that. But I can't help but think that maybe God had a hand in putting me first because I was a good listener and I have a good memory. I mean, I agree. I remembered all of those things, almost a year later when I was finally interviewed by the police. And then almost 6 years later when I testified in his trial, I didn't need to review things. I just remembered.
Yeah.
I just got up there and told the truth about what he had said and what he had told me. And
yeah. And I want to say something too. Guys, just, I've seen a lot of the texts he sent you. You still have them. And I've seen a lot of them, and that you two did share a lot. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
You guys shared a lot. And it was honest, just honest things about your lives.
Yeah. It was.
And he was honest. We told you about the dancing.
Can I say something?
Please.
So I know that Lori wanted to insinuate that the text messages after dinner were somehow sexual in trial, and Trina K objected to that. And I was like, oh, don't object to that.
Because you want to set the record straight.
Yeah. That was not. It was not. It was not at all. It was talking about, I was kind of hard on him at dinner. And, I kind of told it like it was, about that he needed to make Lori face real life after divorce. That, if she wanted a divorce, yes, she needed to be there for JJ after school, but she should probably get a job while he was in school, and that needed to be real life. And he was so kind about my realness, but I said, I hope I wasn't too hard on you.
I think one reason we all like you, Nancy Jo, is you tell it as it is.
I do tell it as it is.
Don't flatter yourself. We'll get to that.
There were no sexy
Yeah,
texts.
there were no sexy texts. No, and you're right. I'm glad you clarified that, because if that's what it sounded like, that isn't. I have seen the text. It was like two friends. It was just two friends talking to each
and
other
getting to know each other.
and getting to know each
Yep.
other. Yeah, I agree. So you call him or not call him, you text him the next morning.
Yes.
I've seen this text. It's heartbreaking when you realize that what's happened. And what did you ask? You reached out, and then
I just wanted to know how's morning with Joshua, with JJ had gone.
And then when you didn't hear back, what did you think?
I was really confused because I knew the date had gone well. I knew he had said, let's see each other again. I knew how over the week that we had been texting that was very out of character for him not to return the text. Like I said, I was very puzzled. And then when he didn't answer my call around 1:30 when I called, I was even more puzzled.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't get nervous for first dates because I just figure if someone doesn't like me, that's their problem, not mine.
Sure.
And I just thought, well, I guess I read that date wrong, and oh well,
Happens.
next.
Yeah. Thank you. Next. It's happened.
So it was really confusing though, because I think I'm a pretty good read of people, and I was very puzzled. How did I read that so wrong?
Sure.
So.
Right. Like, yeah, just kind of like, okay, moving on, but yeah.
But, wow. That
but
was weird.
confusing.
Yes.
So when did you find out that he was murdered? It wasn't for a while, because you weren't in touch with anyone really in his life.
I don't watch the news, the news.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm a true crime junkie, and I always have been. So I am watching, I believe, Dateline, either in December or January, and it's talking about the missing kids. And it's talking about, Lori Vallow and, the missing kids. And all of a sudden, the very picture that he had on his LDS dating profile comes on the screen, and it talks about that he was killed and that was her husband. And I was just like,
were you alone watching this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what were you taught? Like, I would have screamed. Like, what was your reaction?
I was just, I paused it and I rewound it and I watched it again, and I got my phone and I looked at the dates, and it was a out of body experience. It was very weird. And I sat with it a few days, and I decided that I would reach out to Kay because I just thought that was the right thing to do.
Absolutely. And so is that what you did next? You found Kay?
Yes.
I will be honest. I have an older message from you. You said you actually don't even remember that you reached out to me, but I do have an older Facebook message, and you reached out. And I remember I wrote back, and then there was so much going on. It wasn't right then. It was
what did
like,
I say?
You said you went out with Charles and you had one date with him, and what happened? He was murdered the next day. And you're with him the day before. And I remember even thinking, I'll be honest too, I remember I get a lot of emails. So I remember thinking, I'm going to have to confirm this, right? Like, okay, that like almost seems too perfect that someone was with him the night before. And I'm like, I believed you, but I was like, you always have to do the confirming. Like,
I don't think you reached back to me.
I think I did, but then you didn't reach back out. I don't know. We'll have to go look. At least, you know what? At least
I was really bothered by how horribly Lori was talking about Charles and speaking about Charles. And I knew what she was saying was not true.
Yeah.
And I was torn between wanting nothing to do with the Lori Vallow ridiculousness, insaneness, and wanting to set the record straight that that's not true. So I guess I did reach out to you. I watched from afar quietly everything that went on. Obviously, for anyone that thinks that they wouldn't do that, if you went out with someone and they were murdered the next morning, you would follow the case.
Absolutely.
I've heard some people be like,
Absolutely.
oh, she just wanted to insert herself. And
It wasn't your fault that you went out with this guy that was murdered the very next morning,
Well,
and you guys opened up to each other.
and also, if I wanted to insert myself, I could have reached out to any number of shows
Oh, absolutely.
and been interviewed. And I did not.
You had not interviewed with a single person, and you showed up
No.
on the stand.
Right.
And then you haven't for many months after that.
So I was watching after I did my interview, and Vinnie Politan on whatever the name of his show.
Court
is.
TV.
I have covered this trial for all these years. How did I not know about Nancy Jo Hancock?
And you're like, hi, Vinny.
It was so funny because, there were several people that are like, where did this woman come from? How do we not know about her? Like, I just laid low and kept quiet.
Right. You would be the exact opposite of someone that wanted attention. No, as I recall the message, it was, hey, by the way, you weren't looking for an interview or anything.
No,
you had information for me. You're like, hey, I want you to know he was really nice. That's what I remember. Yeah. You weren't saying I want to talk or speak up. You were just like, hey, FYI, I know some stuff.
I just wanted him to not be portrayed like he was being portrayed. It just felt
Yeah.
so unfair. It just felt very unfair.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's how you learned about it. You reached out to Kay and yeah.
And Kay asked me if the police had reached out to me. And, I watch enough true crime shows to think that I was the last person that saw him alive.
And you had texted him, you had texted so they might know to reach out to you.
How would
right?
they not see my text?
How would they not? You were the one.
I know that he texted with Adam after me because I've
That's right.
seen that through the trials. He was texting with Adam that when he got there, that Alex's truck was there. But I mean, from midnight to 7:30 the next morning, how many other text messages could there be?
So do we think that Lori deleted your texts? Because she had his phone, or was he deleting them so that no one saw him? I don't know. Now I'm speculating. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. But it is surprising that the police didn't reach out to you.
Well, I know that Kay asked the police repeatedly to reach out to me.
And then they finally did.
Well, I reached out to them and they still didn't. And then I left another message and then they finally did. But they only did a kind of interview and they told me they would contact me again and then they never did.
That's it. So then how did this all come together then for you to testify? Was it Trina Kay?
4 weeks before the trial started, I heard from Trina Kay.
So you were just somebody that sort of the police passed over.
Yes.
It wasn't that big a deal.
Yes.
You reached out to me years ago, just like FYI, he's a really nice guy. That's how I remember the message. That's it. And then all of a sudden, 4 weeks before this massive trial, you get a call.
Yes.
And was it Trina Kay?
It was a text, but yes, it was Trina Kay. And she asked if she could meet with me the next day. And so we met the next morning and it was about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And we went over the phone interview that I'd had with Detective Moffat in 2020. So, 5 years ago. And when I got up to leave, I said, "You're going to want me to testify, aren't you?" And she said, "Mm-hmm." Wow. And I said, "I should have come not dressed nice, right?" I said, "I should have acted dumb.
You should have showed up in sweats with frazzled hair, looked not as put together as you actually are.
I don't think Trina had any idea. I had no idea. I don't think anyone had any idea. I should have been a really insignificant witness. And it was Lori that made me a significant witness by how she acted towards me. So
I agree. I wanted to ask you about that. You'd seen this woman. You already probably have very strong feelings towards her. And now
very strong feelings is an understatement.
And you can share your strong feelings here that, we're good. And then you have to walk up there and be in front of her. Did she tell you what she was going to ask? This is the important information you relate. No, nothing. And so you're up there, Trina Kay asks her questions, and then it's time for cross-exam. And the very woman that that you believe, well, we can say no now.
No, I knew.
Killed Charles Vallow or conspired to kill him, is now cross-examining you, asking you questions. What did you feel up there?
Well, I was nervous. And then she started with the "do you date married men" hypocrisy. And then I went from nervous to mad. And I it was so bizarre that a woman who is on trial, who the whole world knows had an affair and had
Dance
murdered
videos.
her husband and had murdered his wife and had buried her kids in his backyard, is asking me if I date married men. It was just so bizarre.
Too much. Well, welcome to the world of Vallow Daybell,
Yeah.
where somehow everything's a projection in her world. Like, it is very bizarre how she's the only one that can't see.
Questioning me that way was her undoing, because it took me from nervous to mad. So
Yeah. Jeez.
she didn't want to make me mad. It made me mad. So
Rightfully so. And she brought that. What was the question? Was that the question? Do you often, when you said
do you date married men?
Yeah.
Naturally?
And then, oh, this was it. Then she said, so all you're saying at your first date, you just talked about me. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And then you said,
Don't flatter yourself.
but was that the kind thing to say right then?
I didn't really care what the kind thing to say was.
No, what I mean is, out of something else you could have said, you probably picked, don't flatter yourself. That was probably the kinder response, is what I meant. Let me clarify.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant. So did the world. But I bet something else you could have said, that was the kinder option. Does that make sense?
Well, when she was persisting in what did we talk about, I wanted to say, we didn't talk about anything that you would want to hear. It was nothing that you want to hear me repeat to you. But I instead looked at Judge Boreski and said, can I do a narrative? And he said, let's have a sidebar. So
yeah,
I wish I would have driven the train through the open hole that she gave me, because I could have laid down so many unbelievable things that Charles had told me. Oh, that you and Alex were trying to kill him, that you were having an affair with Chad Daybell, that he knew you were sending him videos, that he knew you had written a false email, that he suspected that you had had something to do with Joe Ryan's death. I mean, I could have laid down a lot of things. And I mean, I guess she did stop me when I was saying nice things about Charles. So I guess she could have stopped me when I was saying those things about her as well. But I might have just kept talking, even if she tried to stop me at that point.
Yeah. It was just such a brilliant mic drop moment, though, when you said that. Don't flatter yourself.
Well, it wasn't planned. It just
came out.
I
know it was honest. It was just a very honest moment. You're like, dude, don't flatter yourself. If you really want to go down this path, let's, yeah. Right. Well done. I think having you testify was a shock to her too. I think she'd prepared for everything, but she didn't prepare for Nancy Jo Hancock. Just like we weren't prepared for you. Everyone's like, wait, who? Nancy Jo Hancock, what? And so I think it did the same thing to her.
Well, I purposely did a few things. So I knew I couldn't watch the trial. So I had my good friend watch the trial.
Smart.
But for the purpose of, I want to know what she's wearing, because I did not want to wear anything close to what she was wearing.
So you're like, just watch the trial and tell me what she wears each day, which is pretty easy because it's on a rotation.
But right? I knew she was wearing dark colors. So I purposely wore pale pink because I wanted to wear something different than she was wearing. And that's really, I mean, I did go back and watch every minute of the trial after I had testified, because I knew I could then, but for that purpose. And, I mean, clearly I look very different than Lori. I'm very dark, and I mean,
you're not blonde.
I'm not blonde.
Right.
And I don't wear a Shih Tzu ponytail.
You have class.
I would like to think so.
Sometimes.
More than her, for sure, always.
And you also wear fabulous shoes every day. I want to say that too.
Well, thanks.
Including cowboy boots.
I do like my shoes.
Yeah, because you have a cowboy heritage in you, some ranch, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm, 4-H and horses. My dad made his living with horses my whole life. So did my grandpa. Very proud of I'm a cowgirl. We're a tough breed. Maybe that's why I was able to stand up to her on the stand.
I think so. I
was raised tough.
Yeah, I think that shined through in all the right ways.
And I say a swear word here or there too. But not any of the major ones.
But she does.
Not any of the major ones.
When they're appropriate.
Right. Not
You-
any of the major ones, though.
Yeah. Well, what are the major ones? Just the ones you don't say. You say some good ones.
I don't ever drop the F-bomb,
True.
and I never take the Lord's name in vain.
True.
So there's that.
Right. But all the good ones. But I don't know what those ones, but like they land well when you use them. I'll just say that. You've told me a few other things that you guys talked about. And I want to go back to one thing that I thought was interesting, or it hit me.
Okay.
It was about Colby's wedding. Charles talked to you about something about Colby's wedding and Tylee.
So I'll tell you how that conversation came about.
Tell me how the
So Charles was sending me pictures, pictures of himself, pictures of JJ, pictures of his family. And he sent me a picture that was of Colby's wedding. And I knew that he had a daughter, Tylee. We talked about her, but she wasn't in the picture. And so I was very confused looking at this picture. And so when we talked next, I was like, why isn't your daughter in the picture? I'm so confused. And he said that she had gone on some kind of a trip, but in his opinion, and this is what he told me, that he thought that Lori had sent her away because he was embarrassed of her. No, sorry. Lori had sent her away because she was embarrassed of her and purposely had her come back after pictures were over. And
so she came late to the wedding.
Yes.
And she was late because Lori wanted her to miss photos.
That was Charles' opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That was Charles' opinion when I was asking him why Tylee was not in the picture.
So sad. And she was so beautiful.
She was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Charles said that it seemed to him that Charles loved Colby and Tylee, and it seemed to him that when things were going good with Colby, Lori would throw a wrench in it and cause a problem so that there was a problem between he and Colby on purpose. And that then she would love coming to the rescue, that she would come to the rescue. And the same with Tylee, that when things were going good with Tylee and they were getting along, that Lori would throw a wrench into things and then she would ride to the rescue and save the day.
I remember you telling me that too. That was a really profound thing that you told me too, that he said that she was always trying to come to the rescue, or like would almost create chaos.
That's exactly how he said it. She would create chaos so that she could come uncreate the chaos.
Be the hero.
Yes.
I know that abusers will often create problems to get a reaction so that you look like the problem or that they look like the solution. Yes. So that is a really interesting.
Yeah. And I think that he was seeing that in greater hindsight as things had gone south with he and Lori, and, as she had left 78 days starting in the beginning of January, and, he was watching, this destruction of his family. I think that he had recognized a lot of what she had done in hindsight as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It broke his heart. It was very sad for him.
Yeah, it is sad that he probably, what is like, she was creating a lot of conflict.
Yes.
Consistently, constantly.
Yes.
And we know that. That's true.
And
he
said,
felt it. He sensed it.
He said she did that with his older boys, with Cole and Zach as well.
Oh, my heart goes out to all of them. Let's go back to this police investigation, Nancy Jo, because I'm surprised I didn't reach out to you for so long. Like I said, your number, you were texting him.
I mean, in every true crime I show, the last person that sees someone alive is a pretty important person in a case. And
I know.
I was like, well, maybe the true crime shows are wrong that I watch. And it's not
I know. So
knowing his demeanor the night before, he supposedly was so angry the next morning. And who could testify to that better than I? He wasn't angry. He wasn't angry. He wanted Lori to be a good mom to JJ. He wanted Lori to get help for her religious, whatever was going on.
Yeah. 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 I feel like it shows again that police really did get a slow start to this case. Like, I mean, first off, they let him go. You know, they sent Lori away with the victim's advocate at first. And look, justice has been served. So I don't want to like beat a dead horse, but I just looking back at this whole situation.
I think if they would have looked into Charles' case, how do you shoot someone twice in self-defense?
I know.
And I just, I feel like one death was one too many, but 4 deaths shouldn't have happened.
I agree. Just interesting that you weren't contacted. But I do want to say Trina K knew who to get to testify. So I'll say that.
Well, I don't know that she knew before she reached out and met with me, but I think by the time she got done meeting with me, she figured that I would. I really didn't know what I was going to be asked, but cards fell how they fell.
Yeah.
And Lori had to act like a jealous schoolgirl that didn't want anybody else to have the cast-off boyfriend that she didn't want anymore. So
she really did. Let me just say this. I really do think she was so offended that a woman that Charles had gone out with was testifying and talking to her. I mean, it was beautiful. It was like such a good.
Well, and I think maybe that I was starkly different than her bothered her a little bit.
Right.
Too.
Right.
So.
This dark brunette. Yes. I agree.
So I think, and her investigator did a pre-trial interview, and Lori fought. I don't know if you remember that Lori fought to have me not be able to testify.
I actually have that written down in my notes. So I've turned a little bit to look at my notes and see, and that's literally like one thing I have in my notes. She didn't want you testifying, and she claimed
that I had this collusion with Kay.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about it because you did say the first person you reached out to was Kay. You and Kay became friends. There's some validity there, but like, tell me.
So
yeah,
let me clarify that.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Kay. I talked with Kay, but mostly what Kay wanted to know is, have the police reached out to you? Have you talked to the police? You know, you were with him the night before. She didn't know I was with him.
I know she and Larry were fighting so hard.
Yes.
They went, their calls. You got to look into this, talking to Detective Moffat, just hearing them just begging.
Yes.
So it makes sense. She's saying, look, have you talked to police?
So the conversation was that.
Okay.
And she gave me Detective Moffat's number and asked me to reach out with him. And besides that, I just basically offered my condolences and told her how much he loved JJ and how obvious that was. And then the contact through the rest of that was just, about the trials, about, logistics of the trials. It wasn't talking about detail. It was just, the trials.
Yeah, the trials. But according to Lori Vallow, and to remind people, because they did, not everyone followed every single hearing, but she was very upset because she wanted to get you out as a witness because she believed that you colluded with Kay, and then you created stories and false stories and false narratives.
The stuff that I knew and that I testified to came 100% from talking with Charles. And I didn't testify about anything after the date, with the exception of me calling him the next day.
Yeah.
And when I found out that he had died 6 months later.
Yeah. And like I said, I've seen some of your texts that verify what you said on stand and things you've told me. So
I had no reason to lie. Why would I lie?
No, don't flatter yourself, Lori. Just telling the truth.
So, and there was no collusion with Kay. There was somebody else that she wanted precluded. I don't remember who. Supposedly I colluded with her. I've never even talked. I don't even know who it was.
There was one other person I'm trying to remember too. Do you remember, Grayson? There was a third person that thought that Nancy Jo, Kay, and one other witness was colluding, and they were all sharing info.
Yeah, I'd never even. I don't know who it was.
Yeah, who was the third? But you know who it is?
Oh, it was Christina Atwood.
Yes.
I still don't know who Christina Atwood is. I think she's one of the blondes that testified.
Yeah. One of the 7 gatherers.
Yeah, I had never spoken or did not know who Christina Atwood is prior to watching her testimony. I believe she testified after.
Yeah, she was a friend of Lori's, and
so supposedly I had colluded with her. I
Right.
didn't know
Don't
who
know
she
who.
was.
Yeah.
So
You're like, and it was the 7 gatherers, not the 8. Nancy Jo Hancock
Yeah,
was
I
not
was-
part of this
I was-
little email thread sharing these strange
I,
beliefs.
no, no, I was not.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. But that was
Secret-
that was debunked. and you went
Secretly,
forward.
I was secretly hoping that Judge Bresky would say I couldn't testify.
I'm sure.
I
know.
text Trina Kay and I'm like, what's the chance that Judge Bresky will not have me testify? She said 0.
So how does that work? She calls you the day before and says, "Hey, you are testifying the next day," or does she kind of give you an idea of what day it's going to be?
Well, I told her I had a trip planned and I had some work things that I could not miss. And I said, so I couldn't testify these days. And then she said, I believe we'll have you testify this day. And that's when I did end up testifying. In hindsight, when I look at it, it looked to me like, because I'm a true crime junkie and I watch trials, it looked to me like she did some business and then she brought in a little personal to liven things up. That's my opinion.
Okay. So then after, you had this mic drop moment. Don't flatter yourself. It was many people's favorites.
You want to know what else I thought was even maybe as good or better?
Tell me. Tell me. Yes.
So after July 10th, did you have any further contact with my husband? No, he was dead.
He was dead.
I
That was the first thing I thought. You said, that's what she said after July 10th. Did you have any contact with my husband? You should have
And
said,
then-
yes, I had a near-death experience.
And then when she said,
I've had 3.
so did you know that I didn't know he was dating? And then I got to say, well, he knew you were having an affair. So he told you that? Yes, he did.
And while you were plotting his murder, he went on a date.
I mean, she just lobbed me some great softballs and
Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
I didn't say nearly all of the things I wanted to say, not even a fraction.
What
but-
did you want to say?
Well, I would love to have said, when she said, do you date married men? I would love to have said, well, I don't murder my husband and murder his wife and murder my kids and bury them in his backyard. But yes, I did go on a dinner date with Charles. I would love to have said that.
That would have been great.
Wouldn't it?
It would have been
It
beautiful.
would have caused a mistrial though.
Would have caused a mistrial.
I know. And I
Darn
didn't
it.
want
But
to
you
be
can
the cause
say
of
it
a
now.
mistrial.
This is your moment.
I said it.
You said it. Yeah, that would have been good. Did Trina Kay say anything about that? Don't flatter yourself line after?
She came in when they took me in and I had to come back in after lunch. She says, you'll be on TV tonight.
And indeed you were.
And indeed I was.
And on t-shirts,
It was really bizarre.
Was it bizarre?
It was kind of scary.
Yeah.
I mean, driving home from court, which took me half an hour, I was talking with my sister
Mhm.
and I had set the phone just like on the steering wheel, like in front of me, and things are dropping down on my phone. I had like 300 Facebook and Instagram friend requests in 30 minutes.
Really?
Yes, really.
So this is the part we don't see when people testify in high profile trials.
It was bizarre.
Wow.
And on Messenger, I bet I had 200 messages from people that I wasn't friends with.
Wow.
And they were from Switzerland, Australia, Great Britain, New Zealand. I mean, lots from the United States as well, but from all over. And I don't know how many interview requests I got, but there were a lot.
A lot. Incredible.
And I just went, I'm going to just go in a cocoon.
Yeah. I was one of those that asked. You declined.
I did.
And I
I
respectfully never asked again, right?
You didn't. I didn't
Yeah.
never intend to do an interview.
Yeah.
But I couldn't stand what she was doing to my church. And I thought, I have to say something.
I want to hear, I want to hear a little bit more about your love of your faith and what it stands for to you, or just whatever you want to share about it. Because I agree with you. Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, as well as a man named James Craig. Right now, you say you follow trials. Are you
Oh
following
my
my trial
gosh.
coverage of James Craig?
I couldn't hate him more.
I know.
Yes, I'm following.
There
you.
have been, I'm going to be honest, a lot of, you say you're a true crime junkie. There have
Yes.
been a lot of LDS members recently
It's
not
disgusting.
creating content in the
It's
true crime world.
disgusting.
Yeah. So I do like to hear somebody that loves their faith share with us what it means to you and how this has been difficult. And look, yes, a
I-
lot of people are critical of the faith, and I think it does oftentimes have to do with what's going on.
Well, I think a couple of things. I
Please.
think, first of all, when someone commits a crime that is of the LDS faith, that's the first thing that's mentioned is that they're of the LDS faith. You don't often hear a Catholic man murdered his wife, or a Protestant man murdered his wife, or a Jewish man murdered his wife. But I do acknowledge that there have been some unbelievably disgusting crimes committed by LDS members. And
I know how
they're-
much you love your faith, and you are. I just want to say this: you are a wonderful representative of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And
Well, I come from a strong pioneer heritage, and I know that people have sacrificed a lot. And, Lori Daybell could probably out scripture me if you wanted to do that, but she would
but Judge
never.
Boreski out scriptures her.
Yes,
So
he
in
did.
his final,
Yes, he did.
in his final statement,
That was good.
That was good. Sorry.
But she can't out testimony me. My testimony is something very precious to me. The church is very precious to me. There are places in our church that we are told very strongly that God will not be mocked. And I believe that Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell and James Craig have mocked God in a way that is so evil and despicable and disgusting. And they are not a representative of the LDS faith. And I'm ashamed that they would claim the LDS faith. And LDS members are Christians, like most other Christians.
Yeah.
And I love my faith, and I feel like I can stand up in this ridiculous amount of whatever this bizarre fame is and say that I'm LDS and I'm proud of it. And
Can I ask what you love about your faith?
I love so many things about my faith. I love the confidence that it instills in children as they go to primary and they learn to get up and give little talks. And
Tammy Daybell wrote a book. Did you know that for primary children?
I don't know.
Tiny Talks. Talks is one of the best books, and Tammy Daybell wrote it.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
I love so many things about it. It raises strong, confident youth that some of them choose to go on missions and teach others about Christ. And I love the examples of service that it brings. And we believe in serving others and serving our fellow men, and not just members of the LDS Church. We do a lot of service for other faiths and for other countries. And I love that I know that I will see those that I love that have died and gone to heaven, and that I will see them again. Yeah. That death is a temporary thing. And I don't know what I would do in this life if I didn't have that knowledge. It would be a much harder life without that knowledge. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you for sharing this personal part of your life with us. That means a lot, and I know how much it means to you. So thank you. I'm honored that you would share this very personal part of your life with us. Thank you. I agree with you that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell and James Craig are
And others.
despicable, and others, and they don't represent what this means to you.
It's
And to
blasphemous.
others. Yes. And I will say this too, though. I want you to know why I did something. I labeled the full story of James Craig as Mormon bishop. But let me tell you why I did it. I did it because I expect more from members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he was the Elders Quorum president. And I think it shows what a wolf in sheep's clothing he was. And I hold him to a higher standard.
I agree.
And it shows to me his manipulative ways.
Yep.
And
He and
that,
Lori Daybell would get along well.
yes, and that he used religion to manipulate people.
I agree.
and that I want to show that manipulative nature in him. So if there's a Catholic person that does it, a Catholic priest, I will label him a Catholic priest. And if it's a pastor of a non-denominational Christian, I'll do that too, because I agree that it's blasphemous, and I will hold religious, despicable
Yes.
religious people accountable.
Let's just hold despicable people accountable.
And despicable people. But whoever holds a position of power to manipulate and abuse people,
I agree.
I will
I agree.
shine that spotlight on them.
I agree.
But it doesn't represent what it means to you and who you are. And I agree with that. I don't want to ever have anyone ever think that just because a pastor or just because a bishop of an LDS church or just because Chad Daybell did this, that it represents these wonderful people in a religion. Because you show how wonderful people.
Chad
can
Daybell
be.
has mocked God in a way that his judgment day, I don't envy his judgment day. So is Laurie Daybell. So is James Craig.
People are complex and intricate individuals, and one person doesn't represent a group ever. That's called stereotyping. So thank you for sharing what you believe in, and I appreciate that.
I'm a crier, sorry.
Okay, well, you've had a remarkable life and a lot of life. So I know a little bit, about who you are. And
I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
I have a great family. I'm very lucky and I'm very blessed.
As a true crime junkie, I have to ask, because it's just a wild guess, but I'm suspecting some of the people watching this might be true crime junkies too.
Maybe
It's just a wild guess. What cases are interesting you right now?
Well, when I grew up, I wanted to be Olivia Gonzalez. I don't know how to say the last name.
Okay.
I thought her
Gonzalez,
victim impact statement was, she's a rock star. I loved it so much.
Kaylee's sister.
Big
sister.
Yes. I just thought I would
She
have
was
loved to
strong.
have had someone do that to Lori the other day. It would have been
true.
so awesome. I am following the James Craig's case. I'm also following the honor killing case about the couple from Iraq that tried to murder their daughter because she was not willing to go to Iraq. And I'm really
that one's
disturbed that the judge
upsetting.
will not let the honor killing come into the trial, or the fact that there's arranged marriage come into the trial. So I don't know how the jury is going to be able to see what
this
is really happening.
for what it is, the motive,
Yeah.
and everything.
And so,
Yeah.
but I've been watching that one as well. Those are the ones I'm
That's an interesting one.
mainly addicted
Watching.
to right now.
Yeah. Well, I bet you never thought that you'd see someone you knew and thought was wonderful on a Dateline episode. And like I said, I don't think there's a lot of dating stories out there, but I don't know how many people have. I went on a first date with a wonderful man. I got to know him. And years later, I had to testify at his murder trial.
I've had a few.
But you did him good, just so you know.
I think he was happy with what I said.
I think he was very happy. I think you should be very proud that you helped in justice for him.
I should have been insignificant. And instead, I think Lori showed in interviewing me the evil side of her that fortunately helped the jury see that she was capable of the crime she was accused of. And thank you, Heavenly Father, that she was so ridiculous and showed that side of herself, because I really think, and I don't take credit for this, but I saw Kay on another interview. I think she was interviewing with Justin Lum, and she said that when she watched me be questioned and she saw Lori let me talk to her the way that I did, say don't flatter yourself and those things, that it gave her the courage to talk the way she did as well. And so I'm grateful that for whatever little bits that helped bring the justice to Charles.
I do think I do see that. I did see courage in Kay. And one of the final things she said, she had a mic drop moment too, where Lori said, "Did you see me
No, but
kill
I
this?" And
saw
she,
a ton of evidence.
exactly. No, but I saw a lot of evidence you did. And that was the final word.
It was good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Everyone did an excellent job. Justice has been served. How did you feel sitting besides the moment where you had to walk out? How did you feel sitting in that sentencing, listening to those impact statements? It was a hard day for me. It was an emotional day for me.
Gut wrenching. I was stunned that she could not say one humble, kind. I couldn't believe that she could sit there and listen to those heartbreaking statements and have no kindness, no mercy, no empathy, no, not one good quality. I could not believe it. I could not believe that what she had to say was what she had to say.
No, I never want to hear from her again.
I hope that nobody ever interviews her again. And I will never watch another interview that she gives again, because I hope nobody ever, the only way for people to stop interviewing her is for people to stop caring what she says. And I hope no journalist ever gives her any more airtime, because she doesn't deserve it.
Right. And I will say, when it comes to Olivia Gonsalves, I think a little bit of her rubbed off on Kay and Larry, and they said some very strong things.
I agree.
They're very, yeah, it was powerful. It was emotional for me. And
Colby was emotional for me.
yeah,
To know where he is
to
right
know
now.
where he is and to do that and say, I'm going to make this statement, and that you are the family tragedy.
I thought that was a really powerful ending to his statement.
It was.
Could you believe how flippant she acted during the whole thing?
No.
She was writing notes.
Could you see her face better where you were? Because I was in the back.
Yes.
I could never see her face.
I could see the side of her face. She was grinning and giggling and flirting.
Really?
Yeah. Through the whole thing, passing notes.
I didn't know that.
It was so disgusting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was really disgusting.
Wow. Yeah. Well, also Judge Bresky, when he said, you're going to fade into obscurity, he's right. He's
Only
right.
if people stop interviewing her.
I think they're going to.
I hope.
Also, it sounds like there's a reason why. So Brianna with Arizona News, who's now interviewed her 3 times and did one right before the sentencing. Did you notice she could not interview her in person anymore? It's like she got in trouble for something.
I heard a little rumor that she's in trouble.
Really?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
It's not a good sign.
I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious, in fact.
So in other words, she's in trouble.
So she has so few privileges in prison already, and now she has even less. Oh, isn't that so sad?
Do you know what's happened? Do we know? Says she has fear? I mean, she can't meet in person for interviews. Big whoop. I don't know how many people are going to reach out.
I know more than I maybe should say, but I know she lost the use of her tablet for sure.
Really?
Yeah. Darn it.
Really?
Poor Lori.
It's just a shame. Well, I think Judge Bresky's right then. The fading into obscurity is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish nobody would ever put money on her books, but I guess that's the only way any of the victims are ever going to get any of their restitution, is by that.
Interesting. Yeah. But I think fewer people, if she doesn't have a tablet, I think a lot of people put money on her books to communicate with her on the tablet. Does that make sense? Like I've heard of people writing her and saying, I'm giving her money, and they do that through the tablet?
I don't know.
I have not communicated. I have not communicated with her.
I have not communicated.
Yeah.
I have not. I'm a true crime junkie, but I'm not a prison junkie, so I don't know.
There is a difference.
There is a difference.
There's a difference. Nancy Jo, I want to thank you for this interview. Is there anything else you want to say that I didn't ask you, forgot? And I'll even look at my notes here. What do you think?
No, I just want to say that things that you're hearing coming from Chad and Lori as any kind of representative of the LDS Church, they're just not. And they're just not.
Thank you. And you are a wonderful woman. And so if that's what the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints is, then you are a wonderful example of that. Thank you.
Well, I hope to be. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks so much for this time. Thank you.